Welcome to the Be Mindful podcast. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Torrio. I'm a hypnotherapist and a certified life and success coach with an emphasis on mindset and manifestation. The intention of this podcast is to help you become mindfully aware of how you think, what you speak, and what you believe, because who you are from within is what you will attract from the out. Let the transformation begin. Hi there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Be Mindful podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about working through your fears of failure. This has came up for me many times in my life, and I'm sure you understand. And it usually comes up when we have to make a decision for ourselves, right? We have to make a decision on what we're going to do to make sure that we don't fail. But the fear can be really strong, and sometimes it can hold us back. And that is my goal for you today, to basically take in everything I'm going to share with you so that the next time fear comes up, you will not allow it to take over your life. You will not allow it to stop you from doing things that you're meant to do. Fear can prevent us from getting out of our comfort zone, and we don't want that, right? We want to be able to do things and just feel the fear and just do it anyway. That is what I want for you, because fear, this is a great perspective. And this is something that I have told myself over and over again when fear comes up for me. Fear means false evidence appearing real. That's a great perspective to have. That's a great way to view it, because it really is false evidence appearing real. So we're just going to dive right into it and talk about this today. And I'm going to make sure that when you finish this episode, you know how to respond to fear, and you can respond in an empowering way. First things first, where does this fear even come from? Why does this arise? Why do we get so scared that we're going to fail? It's really due to perfectionism. That's something that I personally struggled with over the years, and I didn't accept that my best was enough. It always felt like I needed to be doing more, and that it wasn't ever technically perfect. For example, when I started the Be Mindful podcast and I was going to come out with my first episode, it was really difficult because I remember the first time I just kept re-recording and saying it wasn't perfect. Almost every episode, I was just so hard on myself and telling myself like, no, it could have been better. And then after I'd finish editing and rewatching or re-listening, I'd be like, you know what? That wasn't even bad. Like, why am I being so hard on myself? I shared what I needed to share. So it's going to find the right people. And when I record these episodes, I don't put a script or anything. I just make bullet points on what I want to share with you, and then I just kind of let it flow. So sometimes when I'm recording or I just finished recording, I start to question if it was even good enough. But that's the thing when it comes to working towards things. We have to trust that our best is always enough. Our best is going to look different every single day. So if you create something and maybe you were just tired and exhausted, but you did your best, that is your best, and you should be proud of that. Trying to be so perfect is so toxic for your mental health and your mindset, and it really messes with you. Anytime you're working on something, I want you to just acknowledge your mistakes and just be okay with it, because that's just normal. And that's the whole process of achieving success anyways. I remember when I was in my sophomore year of high school, I had a teacher who had us read this article, and it was about success. And what it said has stuck with me clearly, like all these years. And it said, you must fail in order for you to succeed. And it's such a powerful statement, because success is you reaching these challenges, hitting these bumps along the road, and getting back up over and over again. That is what success is. Failure is if you don't try, or you just stop simply because you think it's hard, or simply because you're lacking the confidence that you can achieve what you're working on. And I get it. Sometimes we have a little hiccup and we stop for a little bit because we start to doubt ourselves and we question our ability. I mean, I'm human. I've definitely done that before. I've done that with my podcast, asking like, should I be doing this? Am I capable to do this? Is it right for me to share what I'm sharing? Like, am I the right person to do this? So if you have this really big fear that you're going to fail, I want you to shift your perspective on fear and recognize again that it's false evidence appearing real and that you just can't fail if you are continuing to try over and over again. And it's okay if you stopped for a minute and restarted again. That is not failure. The fact that you pulled yourself back and were like, okay, I'm going to try this again. That is successful. That is something that you should be proud of. That is something that you should cheer yourself on and be like, okay, I stopped for a minute, but I'm getting back into this. In everything that you do, you must become the expert first, right? It takes time to become the expert. It's not like you're going to wake up and be like, I know exactly what I'm doing when it comes to this brand new journey of mine. I also think because we live in such a fast-paced world, we expect ourselves to know things faster, but really we have to take a step back and recognize that it might take some time to become the expert that we want to be. And if you're someone who feels like you're behind in life, let me just tell you, you are not. You're exactly where you need to be. And if you're not happy with where you are right now, then let's see what we can do. What steps can you take towards the things you really do want? What I see in a lot of people is that they struggle with also knowing what they want. And that's also where fear comes up too, feeling like you're behind in life and that you should know exactly what you want to do. Well, if you feel that way, let me tell you that it's okay if you don't have that clarity yet. But in order for you to get that clarity, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to try things that you don't feel comfortable doing, but if you feel called to do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Just like when I started this podcast, I had to feel the fear and do it anyways. And I still fear it. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I also feel like that within my life sometimes. But I also have recognized that I'm definitely not alone. A lot of us feel this way, but I'm just going to keep going and trust the process and trust that I'm not going to fail and I'm not going to allow myself to fail like at all. So let's talk about that mindset shift of fear and what you can do when fear arises. So a great question I love to ask myself and really be honest when I am fearing something is, okay, what is the worst thing that can happen if I fail? So for example, let's say that you wanted to apply for a specific position, you were really banking on it, and let's just pretend that that's your goal. And you're scared of not getting it. You're scared that if you don't get it, you're going to be a failure. Maybe you're scared of what other people might think. This also can resonate with people who are applying for colleges, for schools, right? I have a few people in my life who are applying to their master's program, their doctorate program, and it can be scary, that process of knowing if you're going to get in or not. So let's say you end up not getting into the school or you don't get that position. What are you going to do? That is what's really important. So think of what's the worst case scenario, right? And then after you think of the worst case scenario, you also can write about this. If it's helpful for you to talk about it out loud or write it down in a journal to kind of just like release it, do it. And then answer the question, what would I do if that worst case scenario were to happen? That is where you're able to make an empowering decision for yourself and tell yourself, well, I'm going to do this. This question is so powerful because when you answer what you're going to do, the steps you're going to take if the worst case scenario were to happen, it's empowering because you are giving yourself guidance on what you can do after that. And that's you showing and proving to yourself that you are not going to fail because you will do whatever you can to get to where you want to be. You're basically telling yourself that if the worst case scenario were to happen, you have options. You can figure it out from there. I also recommend that you ask yourself, why are you scared? What are the reasons these fears are coming up? Our mindset, our beliefs about what we desire is what's going to get us there. And the reason why is because what we think often we believe, and what we believe, we create that in action, and that's what manifests into the world. Regardless, we're going to perform based on our beliefs. So it's our responsibility, it's our job to recognize our fears and feel the fears and let it come in and be grateful that it's there. That fear that comes up is really to protect us. And so using those two questions, allowing ourselves to shift into a higher perspective and understand where it's coming from, gives you so much power so that you can make a wise decision for yourself and make empowered decisions based on where you want to go. And as you feel the fear, I want you to just thank it. Thank it for being there, to wanting to protect you, and then move forward from that and set specific rules, set specific beliefs based on what failure means to you. And don't allow yourself to fail. I tell myself that I just can't ever fail if I don't give up. Like if I don't stop, how can I fail? It literally makes no sense, right? And if I don't try, then obviously that's me failing because I'm not even giving myself the opportunity to see what I'm capable of doing. I also want you to take a moment to acknowledge all of your accomplishments and all of the hiccups that you went through, all of the challenges that you have went through, and you made it to here right now. Don't belittle any of those accomplishments either. Whether it's so small, I want you to acknowledge that. And I want you to realize that you didn't fail. You got to where you are today, and you can't be a failure. It's just not possible. I am not allowing you to be a failure by not trying. And that is what I truly believe, that we cannot fail if we just don't allow ourselves to. If you've been working on something for so long and you no longer enjoy it, you're not feeling called to do it, and you feel like you need to transition to something else, don't view that as a failure. Don't stay on the same path if you feel like you need to because you worked so hard on it for so long. I truly believe that if you lean into where you feel called to, you're doing things that provide you joy, even if it takes challenges to get to where you want, you feel like that is where you're meant to be, that is going to make such a difference on not just your mental health, but it's going to make a difference on the decisions you make because you're leaning into your own intuition. You're leaning into what feels right to you, and you're blocking out what everyone else thinks about it and just allowing yourself to stay in your lane. So a few things I want you to remember from this episode is that you cannot fail if you don't give up, and to ask those two important questions when those fears come up. And the most important is having the awareness that there's going to be challenges and there's going to be moments that you feel like you failed, but don't give up, okay? You have so much ability that I think you need to allow yourself to recognize it. And you can't recognize it without trying. Plus, we're human. We obviously make mistakes. We are perfectly unperfect. That's just who we are, and that's just how life is. So in all that you do, don't view yourself as a failure. Don't feel like you're behind because you're not. Do the best you can. Continue to show up. Even if it's not perfectly consistent, perfectly disciplined, do the best that you can. And that is it for today's episode. I hope you found this helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any other topics you'd like me to talk about, feel free to share. And until next time, don't forget to be mindful because who you are from within will attract from the out. See you in the next episode.